What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Dan, and today I'm joined by
T.
and
Ren.
so yeah, we've just gone to see the Justice League movie, directed by Zack Snyder and starring all the favorites. You know, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're all in this one. But is it any good? So, what did you guys think of Justice League?
So, in my opinion, before I went to see it, I saw all the reviews, and after seeing all the rest of the DC movies, I kind of held off because, in my opinion, they're not all bad. So I thought, let me go with like a clear head, and I came out happy. You know, it was a good film, and all the reviews that it's getting now, I don't think it deserves it, in my opinion.
Was there like a favorite scene for you?
I think it all kept the same tone from the beginning. You know, there's action straight from the beginning to the very end, which is a big problem with the rest of the movies, because it would be like half of the movie dialogue, then the end half full action, whereas this one's action dialogue, and they kept that tone, and I liked it. I think, you know, the combat scenes, I've got to say, were all kind of repetitive and the same, but it stayed true to what I thought it would be.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Anything you didn't like about it, or you just liked it? You just liked it in general?
What I didn't like, I think some of the characters kind of didn't follow comic standards. Like Aquaman seemed a bit too talkative and modern for my taste. Like he had a kind of surfer dude vibe, which I don't know. It was kind of.
He was expecting the blonde hair.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Captain America style, wasn't he? But,
Well, not even so much looks, just the way he acts. Like you're just like, what up, dude, and like all of that. Yeah. And I don't remember like Aquaman being like that. I remember being him like stuck up, and you have to talk to him to get him to talk into stuff like loads. You know what I mean? But apart from that, I liked it. I can't really say much bad of it. But we'll probably come back to that when you guys bring out your points.
All right.
Justice League. Ooh, buddy. The pros. A lot of people, bearing in mind, this is not based on any reviews because I haven't seen any reviews online or anything via, like blogs or newspapers. But it still feels like a rush film. The project is obviously rushed, but it's a polished rush film, if that makes sense. When I mean like a polished rush film, if you look back to examples such as Die Hard 5, in which Bruce Willis, sorry, that's how bad the film was, no joking. Bruce Willis ends up going to Moscow. You think to yourself, hold on a second, how does a New York PD cop end up in Moscow? It's like, it's a terrible idea. They tried to cram so much into was it 2 hours 15, 2 hours 20?
I think it's just just under 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, so it's not as long as Batman vs Superman. There's a lot of positives to draw from this film compared to the second film out of the collection, with Man of Steel being the first one. But as a direct sequel, there's a lot of drawbacks which makes you want to raise your eyebrows as to thinking, if I'm new to this kind of genre of film, you're going to leave the cinema probably, thinking, well, what's this character, what's this scene, or how did this come about? There's a lot of things that are unexplained. If you're a fan of DC Universe, you will get it. If you're not a fan of the DC Universe, or not even, if you're new to comic book based films, or even a Marvel head or a Marvel fan, you can look at this and think, wow. Especially for a Marvel fan, you've got nothing to worry about. But overall, I think that if there is scope for another film in what you can argue and call a trilogy already, then I think a lot has to be done. Probably touching up on a few base points which still live, a lot of questions unanswered. I won't go to depth as to say in this film as to what needs to be like answered, but I can reiterate, for example, Batman vs Superman. You got, for example, Darkseid, where you got Bruce Wayne having a vision of these guys, these flying guys with goggles and these guards with a Superman suit. Unless you're a fan of the comic book or DC Universe, you're not going to understand what that means. Unfortunately, they touched upon the same thing in Justice League, which again is annoying because there has to be a narrative where there's clarity. There's a lack of clarity at so many points, and as Tevin joked earlier on, he said that maybe there might be an Ultimate Edition which does an extra half hour, 45 minutes explaining the key depths as to what things mean. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have to have an Ultimate Edition to explain things with more clarity, because that's just either bad script or the final point is bad editing. But Dan, what did you think of it?
So, I let me think. I liked it. I was gonna say I didn't dislike it, but that sounds too negative. I liked the movie. I thought it's what a lot of people are probably saying. It's a step in the right direction for the DC films. If you just approach this movie when I went into cinema today, what I did, I sort of said to myself, okay, imagine Man of Steel didn't exist. Imagine Batman v Superman didn't exist. As hard as that was, just go in fresh and just look at this movie on its own. And watching it on its own, it's good. It's what the characters should have been. For example, Superman. I'm a big Superman fan. So when Zack Snyder made Man of Steel, I always said it was a good movie, but it wasn't a good Superman movie. Batman v Superman went even further to sort of push the character down a road that wasn't his character.
You could identify who Superman was. It's more Batman, wasn't it?
Yeah. Batman I thought was perfect in Batman v Superman. In Justice League, I thought it was a bit weak. But I thought all the characters did their job well. I thought obviously Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, she was again perfect as Wonder Woman. I thought the Flash, Barry Allen was good. Cyborg, surprisingly, was he worked for me. I don't really know much about some of these characters, like we were saying, like Cyborg, Aquaman, to some extent Flash. I don't know that much about those characters. This movie doesn't go into any detail to tell me more about them. So seeing Aquaman, for example, I didn't warm to him. Do I feel like I need to go and watch the Aquaman movie next year? Not really after seeing this movie. But I thought they all worked well together on screen. The story it's a basic sort of story. You got your villain, who I thought was a bit weak. He came to get some artifacts that will change the world into his world. It's a straightforward sort of story. I didn't think there was anything great about it or whatever. The movie did tend to jump about a bit at the beginning. So it sort of goes from one place to another, and it doesn't, like you're saying, it doesn't explain what's happening in every single situation. Not that it needs to, but sometimes it would just be nice to have a little bit more information, especially with, I think you've got a scene with Barry Allen going to visit his father in prison. They don't really touch on, I suppose they can't because they need to fit so much into this movie, but...
And it's not a Flash film.
Yeah, so
you could argue, say that the Flash TV series is out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, I can't cut you.
No, it's these sort of things that I suppose we have to look at and sort of say, was it a good idea to go from Man of Steel to Batman v Superman to Justice League? It probably wasn't a good idea. It is rushed. It was rushed, but I do feel it's a step in the right direction. I did come away from the movie thinking, I actually liked it. I liked the way the characters were portrayed. So that would be my sort of take. I liked it. What did you think of the movie, Justice League?
Hot trash.
Come on.
I don't know how many times I yawned out through this whole film, but then I would say there's like one part which I liked, but that's it. all the Flash bits
So what was the part that you liked?
didn't appeal, and he's my favorite character. It was kind of weird. I feel like it didn't really work. It just felt, some parts just felt really forced. Like with Diana and Victor, Wonder Woman and Cyborg, and then Flash and Batman. It's just like trying to pair up, but didn't really like it as much.
Yeah.
Do you tend to feel that the direction of the project, because essentially it is a big project with DC and Marvel in comparison, you know, Kevin Feige had the phase 1, 2, 3, and DC, it's a case where they've, instead of doing like these stellar icons films, and I call them icons because they're massive icons in the comic book universe, where you introduce Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Flash. Do you think that maybe they've pushed that aside because of the success of the TV series? Because the TV series has been really, really good, and obviously a lot of people with access to Netflix and now TV can watch these what you call catch-up TV now because they're quite old.
So like instead of having to give people the information in the movie, just have it on.
Are they relying on
that,
that too much? Do you tend to feel, because Smallville was a great introduction to how Clark Kent grew up in Kansas before he eventually became an employee of the Daily Planet. Gotham, which has had mixed reviews, to me is more based around Gotham Central. So if you get a chance to get a copy of Gotham Central, great read. Like the Major Crime Unit, how it came about, how they built themselves up, Jim Gordon come through the ranks. It's more around the MCU than it is about Bruce Wayne finding his feet and his curiosity as a boy to become, later, the world-renowned greatest detective. But are they relying on that too much? Because they've been great success. Obviously, you've got the Flash and Arrow. They've been great successes as well for Warner Brothers. Do you think they're relying on that too much to say that, well, because we're bankrolling and making good money from the TV series, we don't really have to focus too much on doing something that's in the same narrative of that universe? We can actually
budget.
we can actually get away with doing something that's completely different, which is the same identity, but it's not linked.
See, I think that is actually a good point. I never actually thought about that before. I personally feel like, and I don't really want to talk about Marvel because this is about Justice League, so I want to keep it mainly about DC. But I feel like Warner Brothers they've seen the success of what Marvel Studios have done, and they want that, but they want it now.
Of course.
So I feel like when they made Man of Steel, it came out to mixed reactions. So then they felt that they had to make a movie with Batman in it and Wonder Woman so that they could get the Justice League out there, because obviously Avengers was already out, Avengers 2 was already out.
Captain America was already out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, let's get our Justice League movie out.
Of course.
So let's just forget about these, because I mean, I think Flash was meant to come out, was it this year or next year or something like that? The Flash movie, yeah. They'd announced the Flash movie, and you had that guy to direct. I can't remember his name now. But
what did he do before?
I can't remember now. No, but they had all these characters' movies set out, and I feel like they just sort of said, we want the success that the Avengers movie has, and we'll get that if we make a movie with all these characters in it. And that's why they've gone this route and made the Justice League. But that's a good point though with the TV series, because people can go and watch the Flash TV series and they'll know the character, saying that this Flash is completely different.
Of course.
And a lot of people say he's more like Bart Allen than Barry Allen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a hard one.
Yeah, I think the reason they done that is because, as you said, the same is going to essentially be the same characters in the TV shows. So they've done the Flash, and imagine if they do the Flash movie and it's the exact same stuff as the TV show. You're gonna sit there and say, well, this is boring because it's the same thing. So they kind of have to switch it up. You know what I mean? Like, as much as people don't like it, would you rather see something different or the same thing?
I'd rather see something different. Yeah, I'd rather see something different.
It's taking risk. I mean, I like the character. He was hilarious. That Flash face. You need to put the Flash face in this video so they can see it too, because that's hilarious. But
saying that, when I do say, actually, see, I've just sort of contradicted myself, because I said I would like to see something different. But then when it comes to Superman, I don't want to see something different. So that is a contradiction of my part.
But there's a difference between bringing someone back and changing them and bringing someone new and changing them from their origins.
But then they kind of did that with Superman. From the Man of Steel movie, he wasn't exactly Superman. I did have a problem with that, and I wanted him to be like Superman. So I guess for like a Flash fan out there who's like a Barry Allen fan, they're gonna see this version and be like, well, that's not my Flash. And I kind of like thinking about it now. I can see, I can relate on that sort of level with Superman.
Even somebody written a blog was very interested about the new Supergirl series. That to them, that version of Superman, if you haven't seen Supergirl, again, go and see it. It's actually getting very, very good. Forget the pilot, it does actually get better.
It does.
But the Superman who makes a cameo in it, they said that to them, that's their perfect version of Superman. Christopher Reeves was believable as Superman despite the lack of technology and whatnot. Yeah, you got special effects and whatnot, but you know, you can rewrite the script 1 billion times. The problem is Henry Cavill isn't believable as Superman. There are elements in that, you know, that he's becoming more promising as Superman in the Justice League, but a part of me kind of felt it's too little too late, because you've had 3 chances at this.
I think it was a good Superman in Batman vs Superman, as in like.
But then
there was bits where it was just like, okay, even though you are Superman, you're a beacon of hope and all that, even I would have to react in the same way that you are. I feel like they've made it realistic, because how much can you keep taking someone doing bad stuff and you just throw them away? You're not going to hurt them. You're not going to just be like, I'm putting an end to this right now.
Yeah.
I think what Zack Snyder's original vision, as he calls it, for the whole thing was that it was a journey for Clark to become. So in Man of Steel, he isn't Superman yet, and it's like a journey for him on the way. The problem is, and I can get that, Man of Steel, you know, he's not Superman yet. He ends up killing Zod, and like for me, when I watched that, I was kind of like, right, well, if you did that to the last Kryptonian, you probably wouldn't want to ever kill again, because you've now killed the last person who you could identify with.
The first and the last.
Yeah, exactly. So that would make you, that would sort of teach you not to want to kill people again. The problem is, Batman v Superman did nothing to build on that. There should have been a sequel which made him sort of flesh out his character a bit more, flesh out why he was a symbol of hope, because Justice League starts with banners across the world of Superman. Why? I didn't see anything of any. There was no hope in Batman v Superman. There was him flying around like a god sort of thing, flying over people.
And threw thingy into the buildings, which probably killed.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like, well, you can't go from him not being a hero to then being this beacon of hope, because that wasn't visible in Batman v Superman.
It's also like there's abuse of his power and his authority, wasn't it? So.
And it was. I mean, like you said, it was a Batman movie. It felt like it was a movie where Batman spent most of his time saying, I need to kill this person. And then all of a sudden, they fight for like 4 minutes. And in Justice League, Batman's like, he was a symbol of hope. He was more human than I was. He had a family. He had people he loved. Come on. I don't want to go down the road of being negative towards Justice League, but the more that I could go into it, I could go into more negatives. But I don't like to focus on the past movies.
No, I agree, but that's, if you're a fan of the comics, that is not typical what Batman would say.
Yeah.
That's more dialogue that you expect from someone like Wonder Woman. If anything, there's so much you want to like with this film, but whereas they portrayed him as a forerunner to building up this elite team of guardians of the planet or the universe even. Fans who have followed JLA will, Justice League of America and obviously the Justice League in the comic books, you'll find that, especially with like Justice League Doom, a big favourite of mine, Bruce Wayne or Batman, however you want to look at him, was never really a huge fan of the Justice League anyway.
Yeah.
And they've done the complete opposite in this film, which to me, I guess it sparks one of my gripes with. I'm not trying to knock the director because he done what he could, but you kind of feel that Zack Snyder's, well, if you're a fan of his work, and you're probably going to crucify me for saying this, but he done 300, he done Sucker Punch, the latter got mixed reviews, the first one was show brilliance, but without forgetting the latter, the common thing that you'll find with 300 and Batman vs Superman is that they are inspired by Frank Miller stuff. Frank Miller stuff isn't complete, direct, New 52 material. It's just Frank Miller's raw, directing of how the DC universe should be.
It's not canon, is it?
It's not canon. You can't take it seriously. It's almost as if you're having it's almost like what Sucker Punch was, but Zack Snyder said he just got a ball of ideas together, and he without even thinking, he just went through it. That's exactly what they've done with Batman vs Superman, and with Justice League, you kind of feel that he's done the same thing. I know he stepped off towards the end and directed it, and Joss Whedon, God bless him, he came in and he cleaned up. But even we were saying, leaving cinema, that it still was a Zack Snyder film. Because you can see he's got his signature mark on there. But I don't know. The film felt unfinished.
It could have been. I mean, it has been cut down. There has been scenes that have been taken out.
That's what I'm saying. It could have had 20 minutes more, maybe. I kind of felt this film lacked something and needed a bit more time. But then you're going to have people, when you go and see the film, you're probably going to think, well, there might be some people out there might kind of felt that maybe it was too long for what it was, for the point it was trying to get across.
Yeah.
Could, where it's touched up on certain points, could they have taken that out? About explaining the origins of this character, without having their own cameo, film or their own, iconic film. Did that need to be explained?
The only thing I would complain about, which I didn't just think about till you said it, is Batman is meant to be scary. You have Batman in the comics that everyone's scared of and he doesn't kill, and you have Batman in the movie that no one's scared of that does kill, and that doesn't make sense because, as you said, Batman didn't want to be part of the Justice League in comics, so when people see him, they're like, oh, that's the Batman, you've got to be scared of him. And the only one that isn't really scared of him is Superman and Wonder Woman, because they know they're stronger. But anyone else does exactly what he says or stays out of his way. In this one, where he's trying to tell them what we need to do, they're just like, no, like, why have we got to listen to you? And I think that's something they need to improve on in terms of characters, because Batman, as everyone agrees, is the best character out of those movies, so they need to make sure they got him right.
Right, here's the thing. I think my final 2 cents on this, or 2 pence or penny, whatever, on this film is that you can't have a film with so many iconic big characters. Whether you read it as a comic book as a child or you've seen like a series on TV, you cannot have so many big characters without explaining the depths of their origin with clarity.
So yeah, Justice League. I think we can all agree that we liked it.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
I probably enjoyed it the most, as usual.
I liked it. No, I did enjoy it.
Because
I
you've
thought
seen
it was
twice.
Yeah.
Kept that quiet.
No, I think it's it's an enjoyable film. I thought it should have been better, but it's an enjoyable film. But I don't always like to do this, but rating it out of 10, what would you say?
Well, you know, on this show, I've always defended DC as much as you guys have always hit me down.
I don't
always
defend DC, I just defend Batman.
I kind of did that, I guess, but I've always defended the movies, so I'm gonna give it an 8. I mean, people are gonna say why, but you know, I liked it.
An 8 out of 10.
Simple as that.
I think 10 has been too generous.
I know you.
It's probably the bad weather. But I was gonna say 7, but realistically, I'll give it a 6. It's not bad, but again, it's a rushed effort.
Do you know what? I'll probably say 6 as well. Probably say it's a solid movie. If I had to list the sort of my top 3 DC films right now, it would probably be Man of Steel, only because I'm biased to Superman, then Wonder Woman, then Justice League. I thought it was a good movie.
You say DC films?
These DC films.
Oh, okay.
Because this is what the universe is called. It's actually called. Don't be crazy. Like, I know what the good films are. Like, but like, you know, this is.
MG.
But the DCEU is actually DC films. The DCEU doesn't actually exist. It's actually just DC films. Yeah, so that's what I meant by DC films.
There's no Batman Begins, but yeah, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Batman Begins for me is probably the best superhero movie, comic book movie that's ever been made.
Time.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
I agree. And I'm not biased.
Well, yeah. There you have it. It's Justice League. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? If you have seen it, then leave your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.
Make sure you subscribe.